Welcome to Comic Tour Reviews, and this video is about The Walking Dead. And for those who don't know, it seems Robert Kirkman, the creator of it, is being sued by the original artist, Tony Moore. And it seems, in fact, there's two lawsuits. And this is about the business end of comic books. And everyone thinks it's Marvel or DC that they're the bad guys. And you wouldn't think that it would happen, let's say, on a independent comic property or something that is not produced by Marvel or DC. But guess what? In this world, in the real world, when you have a lot of money on the line, people are going to sue if they think they have a case. And I'm just wondering, does the artist, Tony Moore, have a case here? This is just based on speculation, and as I'm making this, it's ongoing in the court battles. Well, first thing, let's acknowledge that The Walking Dead is a multi-million-dollar property. It has a TV show that is highly successful. It has highly successful comic books. It has even video games being made. So if you have one name attached as creator to this, you're going to get the lion's share of profit. And if you truly were the co-creator, then you're not going to get the profit that you should have, because in theory, you should be splitting it 50-50 between writer and artist if you created it together. And this is a debate, and what it could cost Robert Kirkman here is millions of dollars, both now and in the future, for this property, if in fact it was a co-creation. And this is tough to figure out. In the first lawsuit, Tony Moore is basically saying that he was tricked or conned out of his copyright to the property, saying that basically Kirkman made him some big promises to sign over his rights, and that he did sign it away, and basically he didn't know that whatever the deal was, that that Kirkman would live up to his end of the contract. And I wonder, is that the case? Was some deal cut after The Walking Dead was made that he handed over his rights? Or, possible, is he just jealous because he had rights to this property and then he signed it away, never knowing it would be such a huge hit in the future, and now he's bitter, Tony Moore, and that he wants the millions he could have had back because he signed it away of his own free will and just made a bad move. You shouldn't have done that, and now he has to live with having signed away his rights. I mean, is it that? I mean, it is possible. Think about it. You have a multi-million-dollar property. You're hearing about it all over. You're seeing it all over. And then maybe he realizes when he gets home that, hey, he had rights to this and he signed it away, and now the other guy has all the rights. So why not try to sue him to get your rights back, even though you willingly signed it away? Is that what happened? Or could, in fact, Kirkman have basically swindled him? Made him a bunch of promises and really had something underhanded and just really wanted to sneak away the rights from Tony Moore and did it in an unethical way. Could that be the case? It very well could be as well. And in the second lawsuit that has happened, Tony Moore is suing for co-creator status, saying he's basically now the co-creator of the property with Kirkman, because Kirkman is listed as the sole creator of the property, and that Tony Moore was just an artist and nothing more than that, but not a creator. Now, was he the creator? Because again, what this hinges on is that if he is in fact a co-creator and it is proven as such, then he would get his half of the millions. He would get his half of the property. Now, people could say he only made the first storyline about 6 issues or so and some covers, but what does that matter? If you look at the Marvel Age, let's say Jack Kirby created just the Iron Man cover and he drew the first armor, but he didn't draw the inside of the book. Therefore, do you say that, well, Kirby made the first Iron Man armor, but he doesn't deserve any share of credit for Iron Man? Let's just say. No, it doesn't matter necessarily how many issues you make. What matters in a creation is the ideas you brought forth and contributed. An artist might work on one issue or a few, but the ideas he contributed make him in fact a co-creator. Or sometimes you have artists who work on dozens of issues, but they don't contribute new ideas, and therefore they're really not a co-creator of anything of lasting appeal because they didn't create any new characters or ideas for the series. So it's not how many issues you make that determine if you're a co-creator or not. It's the quality and what you brought to the table on the original issues that started the series. And is Kirkman the guy who swindled him out of the rights, Tony Moore? When you think of multi-millions of dollars on the line, greed, success, you don't think that it gets to people. Again, this is a hot-selling property. And you got to realize if he gets listed and is acknowledged as the sole creator of the property, Kirkman, then that guy's going to make a fortune and he doesn't have to share it with anyone. But if he's the co-creator, he's only going to get half of what he made. So this is a very important topic. In a court case, you never know what is going to happen. You know, a lot of people just settle out of court because you just never can tell. A lot of cases where the person was in the right ends up in the wrong in terms of the judge's view. Plus it takes years, these court battles, and that's another reason that sides want to settle. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I guess on this part of the video, I just want to talk about, is Tony Moore a co-creator or not? When you look at the ideas he brought forth that we know of, okay, he drew a bunch of zombies, but zombies are not specific, and it just changes issue to issue. There's no one specific zombie that you follow storyline-wise. And then the visuals created for the original characters, well, it's not like a superhero costume. You see, in a superhero, an artist makes an original creation, an original costume, or original ideas like that, and therefore really is a co-creator. Just drawing an ordinary-looking guy in a police officer's uniform and other characters dressed in ordinary clothing is that enough to say that that the person's a co-creator, even though you know how artists draw the human characters, different artists always draw them a little differently in interpretation. Again, it's not like a superhero costume where it really stays the same, the design. But with The Walking Dead, the characters look all different. And what happens, let's say, if Kirkman decides to get rid of all of the original characters and replace all of the characters that Tony Moore created with new ones, and the storyline follows all new characters instead of anyone made from those original issues, then therefore is Tony Moore a creator anymore for the series? Even though the series does not follow any characters from the original books anymore? Could it go that way in the future, storyline-wise? And then you look at something like the TV show. You see, on the TV show, I could actually see Tony Moore filing maybe a lawsuit against the AMC Walking Dead TV show. And the reason I could say this is, for example, if you look at the first issue of the comic book and you look at the first episode of the TV series, there are panels from the comic in terms of the storytelling that are copied almost exactly on the TV show from the comic book, straight out of the comic. And those ideas of the panels, how it was designed, how the story was told in the issue, you see, that was a Tony Moore creation in terms of how he designed that look, you know, how the story went in the comic book. And if the TV show copied it, which it did, I mean, it could really be made the case if you brought that to a courtroom, then I would see AMC having to pay him because they took his ideas in terms of the storytelling aspect of it, and they copied it for the TV show, and they did not give him any compensation for that. I mean, that use I could honestly see as a good way to go after the TV show, because that was his contribution for real. The artist was how he told the story. Kirkman could have gave him the script, but how he interpreted it, what he saw and drew on the art panels, that's what the TV show copied. So that case could be made for some money. And this is basically a topic where, in a way, the writer can't win, because a writer without an artist cannot make a comic book. Let's be 100% honest. Stick figures are not going to cut it in today's comic book publishing mainstream of what really is accepted. And if a writer cannot draw, then he needs an artist, because a writer cannot make a published comic book on his own. What he has is just, he can make a book, but he can't make a comic book. You need someone to draw the art, especially if you can't draw it as a writer. And if a writer can draw, then he would be considered an artist. But you see, an artist can draw and not need a writer, because it's much easier to learn how to write and tell a story if you're an artist than it is for a writer to draw and not have that skill set originally. And the funny thing is, if you look at other markets like Japan or Europe, a lot of the artists are just the writers of the book themselves. They don't need a writer. I just find it funny in America that the labor is divided, and that a lot of these writers depend on artists, and that a lot of artists just don't think for themselves and realize, hey, they're the ones who make the comic books, really, the physical product, and that they themselves can be the writer of their own story. But back to this topic of The Walking Dead, you know, is Tony Moore either just wanting to get, did he just make a bad deal and now he just wants his millions and that he gave his rights away willingly? Or is he in fact a co-creator and what happened to him wasn't right? It's an interesting topic to discuss, and this is my view on it. So thanks for watching.